want people to benefit from today's session, please remember to invite them over as well. Okay, let me see my recording. Hey, how come I cannot record?
I am recording.
Okay, yeah, I know. So welcome to our session for today. My name is Aaron. I'm the Division H Director in District 118 and also District 89. I'm also happening to be a District Spacecraft Coordinator Chair in District 67. So we have different cities coming by together. Today's Pathway 63 will include two little sessions that is mainly focused on specific paths. Today we have reaching consensus, which to some people would definitely know is actually from an effective coaching path, and also the engaging humor path related to how do you engage with the audience on humor. So these are the two projects that we will be analyzing today. So if you have any questions, please remember to type in the chat box. We'll love to have all your feedbacks. We will also have a panel discussion after every single session so that you can also share your thoughts related to the project. Even if you're new, brand new to this project, don't worry. We want you to actually give some ideas, provide your own understanding so that we can actually help you to understand better on this project. Sounds okay for everyone? Can you give me a thumbs up if you think it's okay? I'm so glad that today my network is not that bad because I'm in China right now. I'm quarantined. So luckily my airborne virus doesn't spread to you online right now. Okay, so today, the first part I will actually pass to our host for today, Sandy. Sandy is from District 67, a great mentee and also a great helper in delivering a lot of successful workshops so far. So let's welcome Sandy for becoming a host for today.
Okay, welcome to the episode of the Pathway 63 Master Classes. It's really my honor to see you here and also to meet you here in the virtual world. My name is Sandy Chen. I'm from Taiwan. Well, it's very good to see you. So basically, we will have the training schedule. Aaron just explained, but I would like you to see this as a visual aid. So the training pattern is the same. It's about two areas. One is about effective coaching. It's about reaching the consensus. And then reaching the consensus, the first part, we will have the project analysis, and then we'll move on to deliver demo speech and evaluation, and then about 15 minutes discussion. Then 15 minutes discussion, we will move on to the second part. Second pass, engaging human pass, and it's also about engaging your audience with a human project and project analysis, and then demo speech, evaluation, and 15 minutes discussion. And we aim to close the training on time at 9:30. So this is the today's training schedule. Same pattern, two paths, two projects. That's the training flow. Okay, so before I move on, simple training rule, please be audio off. If you have any question, you can type in the chat box or send me private message, or you could save that in Q&A section and discussion section. And also the last part would be, it would be great if you rename yourself by name, level, and district or country. Help us know more about you when we move on to discussion section. So for example, I'm host, I'm Sandy, and I'm level 3, and I'm from Taiwan, District 67. So that's me. It would be great for all of us to know each other through the rename. Okay, so it would be great for you to do it now, and then we'll move on to official training of the day. Okay, so as we rename ourselves, I would like to brief a bit about our trainer's background. He is one of the few people in the Toastmaster history that finished all the passes within the limited of time. So he was actually one of few people finish this, and also finish this with a high quality. Why this is a high quality actually make him become a pathway, not only proficient, it's actually a pathway master. Why? Because all the analysis from him and all the demo speech from him and all the discussion from him is also high quality and with insight. That's how I learned from this. And that's also why this project called Pathway 63 Master Class. So without further introduction, we would like to move on to the first project analysis of of the reaching consensus effective coaching. Oh, excuse me. We would like to move on to the first training part. Let's welcome today's trainer, Aaron Leong.
Thank you very much, though. As the session always go by interactiveness, so I definitely invite everyone to switch on webcams so that we can have a nice, very lively chat today. So today's first class is reaching consensus. Some of you may know that reaching consensus is actually a required project that is done in level 3 for effective coaching. Now, in terms of effective coaching wise, for those of you who have picked this path, some of them may be interested in becoming a trainer, or maybe a mentor, or maybe even a great CEO or manager in a company. So that's why one of the reasons why people do pick this effective coaching path is to train towards this direction. Now, one of the important traits or skill set that you see in effective coaching is getting together all the understanding that we are on the same page. That's one of the elements that any trainers will be definitely looking forward to in effective coaching. Now, on this part related to effective coaching wise, reaching consensus actually break down into a couple of components. For those of you who might try this project later on, you'll realize that this project actually has two options. The first option is to stimulate a 20-minute speech or workshop, or maybe like a discussion with any of the people that you have discussed with. Let's say I want to pick Sandy, I want to pick Junjie, I want to pick Jackie, and they are my discussion partners. So we want to reach consensus on a specific topic. That's option number one. Now, option number two for doing this project is to do a 5 to 7 minute speech on something that you have done already, which you have reached consensus with. Some of the typical examples that you usually face that we can do this project on is, let's say, example number one. Your family and yourself would like to discuss on where you want to go for a journey, right? Simple. I want to go for somewhere for a holiday, not during the COVID-19, but before or after COVID-19. I want to go to Spain. I want to go to France. I want to go somewhere else. Now, it's essential to do a light practice to reach consensus, right? Decide on where you want to go, right? Let's discuss on the strengths and weakness of going a trip. Now, that's actually one of the examples. But if you think that, okay, this is something light, I want to do something more, you can think about the second options of having a debate. Like, for example, in the past, there is a discussion like, is Earth always round, right? Before scientific experiments actually prove the answers, is the Earth round? So people would discuss and deliberate with evidence, etc. So these are some of the examples that you can think about. It's just only a light warm-up, but we want to challenge you more on talking about something that's very relevant, practical in your daily lives. So in this project analysis, as the usual practice, I usually open up with the PDF file that's related to that project. As you can see, can everyone see the screen? If you can see, please give me a thumbs up. Thank you. So when you download the PDF file, remember, go to the Basecamp. When it's in your path itself, level 3 reaching consensus, please download the project. Download the PDF file of the project so that you can read a long time. The only downside of downloading a PDF file, as mentioned before, is that you cannot see the video clips. So that's the only downside. But other than that, have a look at this reaching consensus project. You will see that typically it will say, why is it necessary to try this project? It's because it impacts the group, but you want to collect a lot of different unique views from different people with different backgrounds. So to enhance or refine the ending or the conclusion of this project. Now, as here, if you notice on this side itself, your assignment, your task, your mission is to work with a group. A group consists of 3 to 4 people, including yourself. So if you define by a team, it's usually 3 to 4 people. You can find more people, it's still fine, but recommended number will be 3 to 4 people. And practice reaching consensus on any topic. You can start from small, just like discussing on where you want to go or what you want to eat. Like, for example, which noodle is better, the left one or the right one? Okay, because the reason I'm quarantined, so I'm just using noodles as a comparison. Now, there will be different deliberations, the pros and the cons, etc. Now apply these techniques to practice leading a group of people. The wording here, if you notice here, is called leading. Okay, I have to highlight this, circle it very clearly, leading. It's not just discussing. You are a group leader. You have to lead with a direction and reach consensus. Okay, meaning that you are also a guider and also participants at the same time. So please note that it's not just reaching consensus on your own account, but you also have to lead them together. Now it says that it's in a club meeting of 20 minutes, so minimum time is like 8. You can decide all your timings. Some people will actually practice with 15, 18, 20, the yellow, green, yellow, red timings, or etc. Some people will prefer 18, 19, 20. So green, yellow, and red. So make sure, okay, you discuss with your timer about how your timing signal works. There are different timings that you can do. Some people will typically pick 10, 15, 20, 2. You decide which one you work. But for my own recommendation, since this is a masterclass, I will go by 10, 15, 20. Now, you may ask, why, right? If you look at the bottom part, it says give a 2 to 3 minutes closing statement on your experience on this decision. So you want to make this as a good ending in some way. So the 10, 15 minutes and 20 minutes timing slots is that 10 minutes, I want to finish talking about a couple of key points. 15 minutes, I want to try to consolidate which directions are you going with. And around like 17, 18 minutes, I want to wrap up everything. Now, the 2 to 3 minutes is your after feelings, your experience. Do you think that it's really hard to share to reach consensus? Please note here, this is one highlight that people usually do not know or didn't read, is that you are not expected to finish reaching consensus within 20 minutes. Okay? It's just a try. It's just for you to experience how it can be done. Even if you fail to reach consensus, the 2 to 3 minutes closing statement on the experience, you can say your challenges and how you can improve next time. Okay, I repeat, this 2 to 3 minutes is really about sharing of your success. If you reach consensus, congratulations. If you don't, sharing your failures and overcoming your failures next time. Okay. Now, other than this option, this is option number 1. Option number 2 here is related to Vice President of Education Y's 5 to 7 minute speech on the experience that you have done in leading a non-Toastmaster group towards consensus. What do I mean by that? If you remember, pathways is also applicable in our real life. You can use your real life situations, your workplace, your friend discussion, etc., as one of the bases for this project. I'll repeat, you can use any of the real life situations that you encountered. Just like, for example, Junjie as an area director, right? You will have a couple of clubs, for example. Maybe they have some discussion saying that which part should they lead, will they survive or not? We have division directors here who's like, how do we coach this club? Oh, the club doesn't want your coach. Although it is related to Toastmasters, I'm just using a real life example that you usually see. Applying to the situation that you see in your workplace, you will have people saying that from the Singapore branch or the US branch, trying to meet consensus on one particular item. And you see the discussion, you try to participate in it or guide them through a successful one. Use those examples as your aftermath experience. This can be done in option number 2. Remember, in Pathways, this is just a tool. Use it wisely and use it practically. Now, everyone understand so far on this part on doing either of these options? Give me a thumbs up if you do. Thank you very much. Let's move on. Now, if you see that throughout this project, it has a video, so I highly encourage, other than downloading this PDF file, please go to Basecamp, read this path, look at the video clips. They are really good guides to helping you to overcome your challenges faced in this project. There's also interactive activities as well, so feel free to have a look. It's usually just question and answer sessions whereby you can get to understand how to overcome stuff. So try it out. To me, I I have this PDF as a basis that will be sufficient, but I would love the videos too. As you can see, in any pathway itself, there is always a before and after survey. This has been repeated over many, many times if you're a frequent visitor. So before survey is before you even try this out, what are your experience? How is your feeling? Please express it. That is a fundamental reason why we have to do a before survey. Now, many of the Toastmasters that I've met these days have been doing the after survey instead of the before survey. That actually defeats the purpose of why there is a before survey. The reason why is because we can compare the difference between your starting point and your after point so that we can see how much you have improved, how much you have benefited from this experience. Okay, so highly recommend before you even start anything, do the before survey, evaluate your feelings, your thoughts, your understanding, your knowledge. After you've done it, evaluate yourself again, see the difference. Sometimes it may be better than before, sometimes it may be worse. Understand why is it worse or better. Those are the key components for your improvement. Now, moving on, you can see that there's a couple of key competencies that they are practicing on, really focusing many things, such as recognizing the importance of including all group members into decision-making process. This is also part of the leadership part. Develop and demonstrate a commitment of processing and incorporating feedbacks and ideas. Now, this is especially very useful in any business settings too. Because you want to reach consensus, like all the stakeholders agreeing on one point, whether it needs funding, etc. Sometimes it does. But you notice this point, it says, demonstrate a commitment. Now, what do you mean by that? You will not read this sentence or understand this sentence as you read this PDF because it doesn't really talk too much about it. What do you mean by developing or demonstrating a commitment? It means that you are dedicated to reach a goal. Okay, the goal is consensus or not, right? Reaching a goal. So you do not give it halfway because, oh, why are they deliberating in the point where I don't agree with? Do not follow the flow. You have to lead them, bring them back to the main points. So you need to be committed. It actually is kind of struggling at first when I first tried reaching consensus because I usually it's like a one-man band and I have to reach a couple of consensus with different people. I feel that's a big challenge. But once I start to process and understand from that perspective, relating to them, I'm able to reach consensus more on the same level, on the same playing field. I'll explain later on during my speech. Creating an idea where all ideas are heard, usually much more of an open or casual. I highly recommend not to be staged when you're doing this project because if you understand in real life, nothing is staged in corporate worlds. You do not like everyone just sit down there and preparing a script just to be reaching consensus. They don't, okay? Do it in an actual situation, mimic it, mock it. You rather fail here than you fail outside. So trying to become like, how do you create an environment? You can make it really casual, lighthearted, warm and friendly. People are really serious about this matter. You can create it too because you are the lead. It's just like a Toastmaster of the day. You are the host for today. You decide the tone and the energy level of every single participant in this room. Same thing. Lead conversations and reach a satisfactory outcome. Same, just like what reaching consensus would be. You want to reach a goal. Now, you will also see that this actually breaks down into one of the key components that I really want to put a star here that many people will usually have a misconception. Compromise and consensus. There are members who have been doing a compromising speech aftermath instead of reaching consensus speech. The difference is because compromise is just like agreement. Like we step back and try to view the thing and we try to view the same level wise. Consensus is like you are working together to build an agreement, where compromise is like you are just making concessions. Now, how do I mean by that? If I use a real life situation, such as, for example, I remember when I was young, my mom usually buy me toy dinosaurs. And I was like always, I want to buy dinosaurs. I want to go for it and stuff. And then I was like, my mom would just say, if you do your homework, you will get your toy dinosaur. Is this a consensus or is this a compromise? Please type in the chat box. Is it a compromise or is it consensus? If you do your homework, I will buy you a toy dinosaur. Now, just to test everyone's understanding on this part. So bribery is also one of the techniques, but bribery, is it a compromise or is it a consensus? I love to have feedbacks and stuff. Yes, congratulations. You understand what is compromise. Now, I'm going to challenge you right now. Okay, I'm going to challenge you right now. Now, how do I turn this conversation into a consensus? Between me and my mom buying a dinosaur. If I want to turn it into a consensus.
Aaron, you want us to type in the chat box or?
Yeah, type in the chat box or you can share. You can, because we want to see your understanding, want to actually let everyone understand like consensus and compromise. People would usually get confused about it. Good by Stephanie. Give a round of applause for Stephanie, giving a very standard answer there. Look at Stephanie's answer. If you look at it, how come it's not showing? She could ask you what you have to offer. Now, the reason why is because remember in the consensus wise, build an agreement that satisfies all parties. In short, it's also like kind of like a win-win situation, but it's more upper class because win-win situation is like, let me step back once and you step back once and I will reach a win-win situation. But in here is like, you have to guide it through. Like, for example, I'm just using an example. Let's see whether you understand the consensus part. Mom, I will make sure that I will score A's in my homework. I will keep on doing so. I do not need you to buy me the toy dinosaur, but I just want to score good grades for you. Is this a compromise? Is it a consensus? Or is this none of the above?
It's none of the above.
It's none of the above. I'm just testing your knowledge. I'm just testing whether you think that it's the one or two. Okay, so what again?
It's a promise.
It's a promise, right? It's a promise. Like it has to be kind of like a really nice promise whereby you reach both parties and satisfy all parties and stuff. So let me do one more thing. One more example and see how it goes with the toy dinosaur. My mom says, you have to prove me you are worth that dinosaur's price. And I said, I will work hard. I will play less. I will make sure I get good grades. Mom, would you like to buy me a dinosaur? Okay, I will buy you a dinosaur. Is this a consensus or is it a compromise? I'm still testing your knowledge.
It's a deal or a trade.
Sansan State is a very. It's more like so. It's more like this is more towards the consensus part. Just saying, because both of you are achieving the things that you want. Like you want to get good grades, and I will get my toy. So yeah. So the thing is that you have to understand these two differences, break it down, try to analyze it. We can do more exercise during the time whereby during the discussion. Now, majority-wise, it's more like a group. This is usually a majority decision. Sometimes when you're talking about reaching consensus, sometimes we have to do a peer pressure test too, in terms of reaching a discussion point. Majority usually is one of the techniques that we do in any of the board meetings and stuff. Now you'll see that in here, the value of consensus, not every decision reach a consensus or requires one. Because the main point of reaching consensus is to move forward. Now, what do you mean by move forward? It means that moving forward, if there's stage 1, there's stage 2, and there's stage 3. We want to finish task number 1, then we'll move on to task number 2. So that's the value of it, is to get settled on this thing whereby you can spend less time next time. We have spent too much time on stage 1. We want to move on to stage 2. Sometimes consensus actually help to save time and also gather everyone's commitment. So for those of you who have been working for a long time, like Thomas, like Junjie, like Mr. Su, definitely understand what they mean by the essence of the value of this consensus part. Now you'll see that here there's lots of stakeholders. The reason why it's actually focused too much on the stakeholders in this manual is because, as you know, Pathways is incorporating into the working environment. It has rebranded to the working environment more. So they're using the identified stakeholders in a corporate sense. So you see that Pathway is actually heading towards that direction. So that's why they added stakeholders, because these are the common stuff that we do face in corporate worlds. So internal stakeholders, external stakeholders, this is like kind of like technical terminologies. If we are talking about normal discussion, it can be teammates, partners, etc. Okay. So in here, it also say example representatives, consider other options as well. Sometimes when you consider different options, it's easier to reach a consensus because you have done enough research to have created that credibility. When you're managing the group itself, consider the feedbacks. In here, it actually mentioned about feedbacks because you hear them. One of the important elements in this project is listening skills too. So if you have done active listening before you do this project, that will help you so much more, because you want to focus on the elements that people do feedback on, that if you value their ideas, they are likely to stand in your position. Okay. Now, it also offers some sort of successful consensus building, such as consensus possibilities. Now, what do you mean by consensus possibilities? It means that during the discussion itself, you can brainstorm ideas. Okay? It doesn't mean that you have to be prepared. You see, I stuttered. You have to be prepared to be going there. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, proposal A failed, proposal B failed. Now, what other options do we do? It doesn't mean that I can end the meeting now. No, you can brainstorm on the spot. You can brainstorm on it on the spot, let people discuss on it, see the pros and cons, etc. And that actually keeps the conversation moving forward. You want things to be moving forward, not getting sidetracked. Once you get sidetracked, remember your role. If you're doing the option number 1, is to lead the team and bring them back if they're sidetracked. So you also see that this project itself actually trains 3 skills. Listening skills. We have talked about listening skills. We also talk about leading skills, leadership skills, and we also focus on conflict resolution skills. Because reaching consensus, you will definitely have people that will not agree with you. The worst situation is people arguing with you, and that actually wastes time, your precious time that you can spend on constructive feedbacks. So in here, you see that this also only talks about a bit about managing conflicts. You will see that it only just talk, and you do not see that they demonstrate. So remember, if you just read the PDF file, it's definitely not enough. Go to the Basecamp, watch the videos. It also show you some examples too. And he also talked about discussion possibilities, concerns, participation, reaching consensus, repeating the access necessary. So it actually states 4 different steps, such as discuss possibilities. If people runs out of ideas, throw out, brainstorm. Everyone brainstorm together to reach a consensus. Identify your concerns, because those are your key challenges. If you're able to overcome those concerns, you're able to reach consensus much easier. Ensure participation. Do not leave anyone behind, because some people who have left behind may have better ideas than you do. Once you overcome those concerns, people participate, that is a brainstorm idea. That idea is really, really good. Now gather together to reach a consensus. Be it pass or fail, at least you try. If it fails, repeat again. Identify what's concerning them. Why do they not agree with this point? Understand the concerns and troubleshoot them, overcome them. Now here it actually says the impact of failing to reach consensus. Now failing to reach consensus, you actually lose the crowd support. It will break down the whole components together, break down the team. So for me, if I failed to reach consensus at that moment, I always want to look for future solutions to prevent this mistake again. Okay. You can, if it fails to reach consensus, don't worry. Give yourself more time and practice. You can imagine or stimulate as many ideas as possible when you're doing this project. I know some Toastmasters who are dedicated to overcome this weakness of them. They do this project at least 5 times. 5 times with 5 different mock scenarios. So if you fail to understand or appreciate the essence of this project, try to do it again. Give yourself different scenarios. Open up your mind to embrace different situations that will be coming your way. Usually I give it like a corporate scenario, the real stimulation. I have a CEO that's planned, I have a CFO, etc., no finance, etc. So I have different roles planned before I ask them to do it in the meeting itself. So you also see that there is a quiz. This is the interactive quiz that you do it there. You will see that in the PDF file, it also states the questions out. Take your time, and it has the answers here. I highly encourage you not to read the answers until you do it. Okay, I mean, it's just like the simple examinations. Don't review the answers until you finish doing it. There are different questions. Does it mean that it's just 5? No, I highly recommend, other than doing this PDF file after you finished it, look on YouTube, look on everywhere else, look for some articles that helps to focus on the points that you're not good at. Like for example, if you're not good at listening skills, read some articles on that. If you're not good at dispute resolution, go and have some articles on that. Although in level 4, level 5, there are some projects for you to do on that part too. Now review and apply. You remember to review this part. Usually the review is just like reflecting on every project that you've done. Are you prepared to finish this? Are you going to achieve your goals, etc.? Once you're able to answer all these 5 questions, go ahead and try. If you do not know the answers of these 5 questions, take your time and practice first. Do not rush. This project is not worth rushing because it takes time to prepare. I know some people who just rush it through and just finish the path, randomly do it, but they fail to understand that if you're not prepared to answer all these questions, you're not prepared to learn. So the questions are the value. Why is there a value in including everyone in there? This is a typical first question. It's very easy to answer. How can you be sure that all ideas are heard? What sort of practice are you going to do? Like this time I'm going to listen to A. This time I'm going to listen to B, C. Make sure you direct it well. What are some ways of incorporating feedbacks from different people? How are you going to make sure that their feedbacks are relevant to your entire discussion? How can you lead? Some people are very passive. You can see some people like very shy. I'm not prepared. That's why I'm not answering. How do you lead them? How do you encourage them to give some answers back? The more they fit in, the more input they, more output they give you, the better you are. And then what strategies can you apply if the process of reaching consensus stalls? That means the failure part. What happens if it fails? Is there any methodologies that you can try to resolve it during the 20 minutes range? So it's option 1 and option 2, your choice. Okay. If you want to go for option number 1, try to prepare for it, especially if you're new to it. Preparation is the key. If you're going for an option 2 that has happened, it's good to share your feedbacks. For those of you who go for option 2 to do the 5 to 7 minute speech, I highly encourage you after this 5 to 7 minute speech of reflecting, try to do a 20-minute speech of this same project. This is my only honest advice because you only did kind of a feedback. You didn't really practice. So the 20 minutes is really, really hardcore practice, especially dealing with impromptu situations. Now, after which there's a project checklist that everyone will actually do. Highly recommend that project checklist. Invite the team so that make sure everyone attends. If they don't attend, grab a random audience, etc. Select the challenge that your team wants to discuss on that day. Using the 20 minutes, reach a consensus, etc. Now, you will notice that in this project checklist assignment number 2, you will see that it's very different. I'll just have to break it down. Assignment option 1 and option 2, it actually states very different things. Let me share the screen again. You see that here it actually focuses on the 5 to 7 minute speech is way different from checklist number 1. And now checklist number 2 is really about aftermath of what happened. Past tense, what happened. But option number 1 is what's present at that stage. So your choice. For today's discussion or for today's actual demonstration, I will go and do the 5 to 7 minute speech because of the time constraint. Later on in the future, if we have time, I will do the 20 minutes demonstration too, just to cover up this 5 to 7 minutes. Now moving downwards, you will see that one more important point that there are 2 evaluation forms. Many people just look at option number 1 and overlook this entire point. Now make sure if you are a speaker, let your evaluator know which option you're going for. Now I'm sure that most of the speakers forget about this point. Make sure you let them know option 1 or option 2. Option 1 is a 20 minutes actual demonstration. Option 2 is a 5 to 7 minute speech of aftermath. Make sure you know which one you're going for. After you let your evaluator know option 1 or option 2, let them know what this project is really about. What is your focus point? Give them some early preparation time so that they can stimulate this experience. You'll see in this evaluation form, it has a different criteria.